Dr. R.K. Pachauri, Director General of TERI, Dr. Vibha Dhawan, Executive Director, Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I am privileged to be invited to deliver the 10th Darbari Seth Memorial Lecture. Mr. Darbari Seth, a chemical engineer, was best known for building up Tata Chemical Limited. He was also the founder chairman of TERI and many other institutions, but more than anything else, a person who had great love for renewable energy. Mr. Darbari Seth was possibly the first industrialist in India to use renewable energy on a large scale. It was his vision that resulted in the establishment of TERI, which today is one of the foremost centers of learning on sustainable development in the world. It is perhaps a tribute to his foresight that TERI's Article of Association clearly specifies the purpose of the Institute. And I quote, "Deal with the immense and acute problems on account of gradual depletion of the earth finite energy resources and largely non-renewable on account of the existing methods of their use which are polluting." Quote ends. We live in strange times. The optimism and hope of a better world is often tempered by the difficult realities of conflict, economic stress, and shortages. While technology has made human progress almost inevitable, the heavy demands that prosperity places on our natural resources has also driven home the lesson of restraint, cooperation, and respect for nature. Nowhere is this more apparent than in the field of energy. The increasing appetite for energy that has developed in the recent past has been constrained by rapidly diminishing conventional sources like oil and coal. To further add to the problems of increased demand and constrained supply, there are serious questions about pursuing a fossil fuel-led growth strategy. Globally, nearly 70% of electricity today is generated from fossil fuels. As a result, electricity accounts for about 40% of global energy-related greenhouse gas emission. These emissions are expected to grow by 58% by 2030. Scientists believe that a temperature rise about 2 to 2.5 risks serious and intolerable consequences. The Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change predicts that with rising temperatures, the frequency of heat waves, droughts, and heavy rainfall events will very likely increase. This, in turn, will seriously affect agriculture, forest, water resources, industry, human and health settlements. In developing countries like ours, where greater poverty and vulnerability exists, the impact will be much harsher. In fact, our very survival could be at risk. The world, therefore, have to work together towards new and alternative ways of decoupling economic developments from traditional energy consumption. And the core solution will be technologies that reduce carbon emission per unit of energy. This is why, while striving to bridge its energy deficit, the world must necessarily increase the share of clean, sustainable, new and renewable energy resources. Whether or not renewable energy completely replaces fossil fuel, we must all work together to develop renewable energy to its fullest potential. It is with a sense of hope and satisfaction that achievement that we survey the global renewable prospects. The IPCC has recently released a special report on renewable energy sources. This report confirms that the technical potential of renewable energy technologies exceeds the current global energy demand by a considerable amount. Further, if appropriate policy support is provided, renewable energy could meet up to 80% of the global energy demand by 2050. The recently released REN 21 Renewable Global Status Report is even more heartwarming. In 2010, renewable energy supplied an estimate of 16% of global final energy consumption and delivered close to 20% of global electricity production. Global investment in renewable last year reached a record of $211 billion, nearly 30% more than $160 billion invested in 2009. Government support to renewable energy has grown too. By early 2011, at least 119 countries had some policy target or renewable support policy at the national level. Developing countries now make up over half of all countries with policy targets and also make up half of all countries with some type of renewable energy promotion policy. India is perceived as a developing country, but it is developing at a pace that is not easily matched by many others. There has been a significant acceleration of our economic growth, yet the fact remains that our growth is constrained by energy supply and availability. It is estimated that in order to sustain a growth rate of over 8% through the next 2 decades, we would need to grow our primary energy supply by 3 to 4 times and electricity supply by at least 5 to 7 times of our current consumption. A Planning Commission study estimated by 2030, India may have to import 90% of its oil and 45% of its coal requirement. An energy economics modeling carried out by TERI indicates that in a business-as-usual scenario, the country would need to import as much as 1,300 million tons of coal and 750 million tons of oil every year by 2031. Thus, there are serious issues in pursuing a hydrocarbon-based growth strategy, whether it is on ground of security, ecology, or equity. We need to do something different to bring about a transformational change in the situation. India is endowed with a sustainable renewable energy resource base. Recent estimates by Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory indicates that a potential of over 600 gigawatts electric power capacity exists from wind energy alone. Solar photovoltaic and solar thermal energy has the potential of generating about 50 megawatts per square kilometers of area. Some hydro and biomass add another 40 gigawatt capacity. Furthermore, there exists significant potential for decentralized distributed applications. How far have we moved ahead in realizing this potential? India today stands among the top 5 countries of the world in terms of renewable energy capacity. We have an installed base of over 20 gigawatts, which is 11% of India's total power generation capacity, and contributes over 6% of the electricity mix. This represents an almost 400% increase in the last 5 years alone. Investment in renewable grew by 25% last year and contributed nearly $3.8 billion. India today ranks 8th in the world as far as attracting investment in renewable energy is concerned. However, this is just the beginning. The National Action Plan on Climate Change mandates an increase in the share of renewable power in the electricity mix to 15% by the year 2020. My ministry has already developed an active action plan that aims at accelerating and developing of renewable energy. We have set up a target of around 72 gigawatts of renewable power, including 20 gigawatts solar capacity by 2022. While the significance of renewable energy from the twin perspective of energy security and environmental sustainability is usually well appreciated, what is often overlooked is its capacity to usher in energy excesses. Today, an estimate around 400 million people in India have no access to commercial electricity. Studies indicate that the per unit cost of electricity increased by ₹1 per kilometer of grid extension. Even more broader projection indicates that at the current rate, 300 million Indian people will remain without electricity access even by 2030. It is when we begin to rethink the fossil fuel-led centralized electricity supply model that the significance of renewable energy becomes apparent. In its decentralized or standalone avatar, renewable energy is the most appropriate, scalable, and viable solution for providing power to thousands of villages and hamlets. In terms of speed of implementation, quality, and cost, decentralized renewable energy could prove to be the most effective democratic component of our village electrification program. By providing energy access to the most disadvantaged and remote communities, renewable energy has become one of the biggest drivers of inclusive growth. Even today, millions of solar lighting systems, irrigational pumps, aerogenerators, biogas plants, improved cooking stoves are being used in remotest, poorest, and inaccessible corners of the country. However, we are experimenting with numerous new applications of decentralized renewable energy too. In Rajasthan, we plan to provide solar power to each of the 9,168 panchayat ghars of the states. These 1 kilowatt systems will help provide power to run computers, televisions, and provide e-connectivity to otherwise far-flung and poor areas. In many tribal and forest areas of Madhya Pradesh, we are not only using solar power to light up remote hamlets, but also trying to bring about a convergence in forest conservation, education and rural development efforts. In rural Bihar, we are experimenting with generation of electricity and its local distribution through use of locally available rice husk. In numerous villages, we are promoting solar charging stations as an opportunity to create micro-level enterprises and offer solar-related services through them to the village community. Each of these endeavors is an effort at energy accesses for the poorest and the remotest. We are conscious that this effort requires a sustainable business model. A number of well-meaning efforts have failed in the past. Therefore, we are trying to encourage rural entrepreneurship and make it easier for poor citizens to access these services through a combination of capital subsidy, soft loans, and interest subvention. Renewable energy applications have the greater advantage of meeting decentralized needs other than rural electrification too. By doing so, they mitigate the consequences of power shortage by providing solutions at the consumption point. Over 25 gigawatts power is currently generated by diesel. Over 1 million tons of furnace oil is used annually for meeting incremental process heat requirement. Solar energy can save both by acting as heat as well as power source. With oil prices going up and solar prices coming down, the tipping point is reaching for large-scale off-grid development. Quite naturally, industry is facing power shortage, telecom towers using diesel, agriculture pump set using diesel, large kitchens using LPG are promising candidates for this effort. All these applications have the potential of saving hundreds and thousands of liters of diesel, kerosene, and cooking gas annually. They will span new financial and business models, as well as an acceptance of severe service delivery in a distributed manner that supports local entrepreneurs with low-cost funds. Even though the distributed use of renewable energy is high on our agenda, we are not unaware of the enormous potential of renewable energy in generating and feeding power to the grid. In January 2010, the Government of India launched Jawaharlal Nehru Solar Mission. This is a unique and ambitious mission that aims to establish India as a global leader in solar energy. The mission aims to enable 20,000 megawatts of grid-connected solar energy being deployed in India by 2022 and 11,000 megawatts by 2013 itself. In 1 year since the launch of the mission, our ministry has allotted 37 projects of 620 megawatt capacity through a transparent tariff discounting process. This has helped in reducing the average tariff by about 30%. Besides, over 75 small projects of 1 to 2 megawatts have been allotted for installation at tail ends of the grid. As a result of these projects, we expect to have over 300 megawatts of grid-connected solar power plant before the end of 2012. We are delighted that all stakeholders of the value chain have responded enthusiastically to this national mission. Entrepreneurs and developers, both local and foreign, overwhelmingly participated in bidding process for the first phase of the project. The state governments not only facilitated this process, but came out with their own supportive policies as well. Gujarat, Rajasthan and Karnataka have already announced vibrant and facilitative policies of their own. Maharashtra has begun the process to set up 125 megawatt capacity solar power plant. Manufacturers too have increased capacities and committed investment. The number of active models manufactured is now 60, up from 40 2 years ago. Many new companies are planning to set up integrated manufacturing plants. Buoyed by this success, we are planning an even more ambitious phase 2 of the mission. We have set up a totally autonomous Section 25 company, the Solar Energy Corporation of India, to aggressively pursue the planning and implementation of the mission. We have amended the national tariff policy to introduce solar-specific renewable purchase obligation, starting with 0.25% in the first phase of the mission and leading to 3% by 2022. We have initiated trading of renewable energy certificates. All these steps will create many new opportunities outside the mission. We are aware that in order to be a core technology for the future, solar power has to achieve grid parity in cost with new coal-fired power plants. For this to happen, solar plants have to be built at an adequately large scale and in clusters and deployed in sufficient volume to spawn a local equipment manufacturing industry. They have to receive initial project financing at lower than current commercial rates. We are actively working towards a policy framework. We are keenly examining the concept of solar parks as a major activity in phase 2 of the mission. Innovation, indigenization, and intelligent financial support are going to be the cornerstone of our policy approach. We are aiming at an overall development between 5 to 6 gigawatt in the second phase of the mission. Despite the strong push for solar energy, wind energy continues to contribute significantly to our renewable energy metrics. With over 15 gigawatts installed capacity, India competes globally in manufacturing and deployment and occupies the 5th position in the world. Our policy framework in wind energy generation is extremely investor-friendly. An attractive feed-in tariff, supportive regulatory regimes, fiscal and promotional incentives provide a strong foundation for the growth of the sector. Our latest decision to incentivize generation of power by generation-based incentive will create a level playing field between foreign and domestic investors and attract more investment in this sector. However, we are adequately aware of the restraint factors to availability of land and an inadequate power evacuation infrastructure are major concerns today. We are encouraging and supporting states and utilities to augment these facilities. We'd also like to direct policy towards addressing the issue of repowering old and less efficient wind farms as well as exploiting our vast offshore potential. With newer and more efficient machines, we are always also working towards a realistic reassessment of our true wind potential. We will work with regulators for a wind RPO as well, but we would also like these efficiencies to lower the cost of generation and to make wind power even more competitive. Biomass, which is a carbon-neutral fuel source of energy, holds considerable promise for India. Our surplus biomass material is estimated to be about 150 million tons. This could potentially be used to generate about 16 gigawatts of power. Apart from providing relief from a power shortage, power project bases on biomass would generate employment in our rural areas. They could also help the stabilization of electricity grid in such areas. We are working towards a national bioenergy mission. This mission help advise the policy and regulatory environment to provide a predictable incentive structure for large-scale capital investment in biomass energy applications and encourage development of rural enterprise. Dedicated energy plantation on degraded wastelands are one of the first steps in this direction. The challenges before us in the renewable energy sector generally, and in India particularly, is to reduce the per-unit cost of renewable energy. Hence, there is a continuous need to innovate, to increase efficiencies, and to bring down costs. Innovation can result from better research and indigenous technologies. This is why research and development in renewable energy is such a major area of action. I believe firmly that we need a whole new ecosystem involving business, academia, and government in a symbiotic research efforts. We need to involve prominent research and academic institutions as well as industry to develop technologies, roadmaps, and initiate time-bound multidisciplinary research. We have already made a beginning with the National Solar Mission. Besides setting up an industry and research council, we are planning to develop the Solar Energy Center as an autonomous apex research body with a robust institutional structure. This public-funded system would also foster public-private partnership in identified areas of research and create technological solutions that can lead to costs which are competitive with conventional systems. Research, however, important is not enough by itself. We need cheaper and easier access to finance. We need easier access to technology. We need a more robust domestic manufacturing base. We need better transmission and evacuation infrastructure to absorb increasing quantities of renewable power. We need a more detailed and accurate renewable power resource assessment. We also need strengthening of the RPO and REC mechanism. Each of these is a challenge by itself and calls for a careful and sustained policy response. It also calls for a significant dedication of funds. We are conscious of these challenges and demands. We are open to accessing all sources of support, including the Clean Technology Fund and our own domestic Clean Energy Fund to support these initiatives. Even when we have tackled all of the above, we still need to increase systemic efficiencies to drive down cost. Efficiencies can result from healthy competition and free play of market forces. To quote just one example, the tariff discounting-based bidding in the National Solar Mission has seen a cost decline of nearly 30%. Similarly, while our domestic content mandate is designed to facilitate a robust domestic manufacturing base and encourage investment in manufacturing, we also have to parallelly guard against the growth of a ring-fenced, high-cost ecosystem. We will ensure that policy captures the myriad complexities of the nascent and growing sector, such as this, without any compromise with competition and the basic tenets of the market. The challenge for India is gigantic and exciting. We can set history on a hopeful course, away from poverty and despair, and towards development and dignity. We have made considerable progresses on our own, but we'll have miles to go. Our efforts face a number of barriers, some technological, others financial, yet others which are of our own making. We have to work together to address all of these. We also know that any delay in action for creating an ambitious renewable energy future for the country could imperil our security of energy supply, acts as a barrier to economic growth, and compounds the environmental problems that we are confronted with. I believe that the government, in its facilitative role, has to create an enabling ecosystem, both financial and technological, and promote basic and applied research. It is for the entrepreneurs and the stakeholders to join together in this effort and to take advantage of enabling ecosystem that we are trying to build. My vision is to see that every Indian has access to clean energy, reliable and affordable. Today, technology provides us this opportunity. It is friends of ours in many countries, particularly in Iceland, where they are producing energy completely from geothermal, that we are trying to cooperate with them in a big way, because there are a number of areas in our country where geothermal energy can be made use of. And I'm glad to tell you that we soon hope to start in some of the areas. And in Ladakh, we have also, in Chhattisgarh, we have areas, a number of areas in our country which we are trying to now look into with Iceland and see that how best we can use this energy which God has given us. Today, technology provides us this opportunity. It is for us to rise together, to take advantage of these opportunities and translate to reality the vision of a better world for all mankind. I'm grateful to Dr. Pachauri, to TERI, for tremendous help that they have given us in promoting renewable energy. Number of discussions that I have had myself with Dr. Pachauri have been of immense help to the government, and I can assure him that TERI will always remain. And the man whose day you are celebrating this today will go also a long way in the history of India's new and renewable energy. Thank you. God bless you all.